What's up, guys? Nate Petrosky from Narrowway Homestead. Concrete day. Concrete truck's coming in just about 20 minutes or so. Supposedly, concrete days are always interesting, but this should be fun, guys. Hopefully I remember to film stuff in the midst of all the excitement. The truck isn't too far away, the plastic's getting laid out, being used as a vapor barrier. My experience with concrete is somewhat interesting. I've done it before multiple times as part of a crew, and I was just the grunt. It was basically in my early 20s. From 18 to early 20s, I have somewhat of an experience with concrete, but I don't know. I just didn't pay enough attention. I was just the grunt guy. I didn't really understand a lot of stuff. These guys aren't really concrete guys either. They are builders. They struggle to find people to sub the concrete out to, and I told them they could practice on my job. So the cement truck driver got to be able to drive into here, but yet the footer's completely dug out the whole way around, so he's just going to fill that with some loose gravel so the driver can get back here. He might even put some boards over it, just because trucks can get stuck in loose gravel too sometimes. It'd be fine if he won't stop, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's easy to dig out later. Everything's pretty much prepped. Grade pins are set. Screed board is ready. Should be cool. I can't wait. Here we go, guys. I see it. He's coming. He ain't wasting no time either. That's not him.
Wetter. A little bit.
A little bit. I really didn't pay a lot of attention to how the forms were. I figured it's 2x6s. I've usually only seen plywood and figured it was braced often enough, but actually watching this video, I see exactly how it was braced. Instead of having the piece connecting to the stake behind the board that's upright, well, it's on top of it, and so it's relying on the shear strength of a screw, and with it being a monolithic pour, being the footer, the wall, as well as the floor all together in one pour, it's very tall, there's a lot of pressure there, and it caused the forms to bow out. I'm on this job as much as anybody else, and I really didn't look them over too good. Most of the forms were not that way at all, as you can see on the right side. But on the left side, they're just on top of it. So that makes a difference, and that explains exactly why it all ended up going out. Yeah, the wetter the better until you have 3-foot walls to pour, and then it's not always the best.
They should have held. But you never know, you can add a weak screw.
Well, that's always possible.
Yeah.
Screws can be a little bit difficult.
I think they only got like one screw up top. Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of screws break and not the board.
Once that happened, nobody wanted to risk that happening again, so everything got backfilled with dirt. Now that means it has to be dug out to take all the forms off and takes more time later, but it is what it is, and it's a whole lot better than having any more blowouts, particularly as the concrete starts to harden and need to be worked on. Can't be playing with forms at the same time you're trying to chase dry concrete. Not a good plan. Concrete driver wants to get in there with a sledgehammer, pound it in. Cool, he wants to be hands-on. Concrete's still good and wet. We're getting a little delayed here. Fixing forms.
Go on the other side there, go ahead and get that corner out there. Oh, sorry.
No problem.
What's the deal, man?
Yeah, that corner needs right there. You got enough depth for me, huh?
This is called a screed board. This is an aluminum board that's perfectly straight, or supposed to be. It allows you to make concrete the same level between 2 points. That's what all these rebar stakes are for. That way you always know where you're at roughly, and you're not running around with a laser in the concrete all the time. I always just use the 2x4, but there's no guarantee you're gonna have a straight 2x4 on a job, so it's kind of best maybe to have the right tool. I'm in the blowout zone, guys. Truck number 1 is empty. That's about 9 yards. Man, I couldn't warn you in time. You were
Perfect content.
Yeah, that's good content. If you're used to pouring just regular concrete pads, you might forget about a monolithic pour and the fact that the concrete's 3 feet deep somewhere. Burns later. The timing of the trucks on this whole job really worked out pretty good. Most of the time we were just done with one getting it cleaned up and the other one was here and ready to go.
Pull a little bit over here, Josiah. Pull a little bit from here to there or somewhere. And just have one hole.
This tool is called the bull float, and it's basically what you do when the concrete's too wet to really do anything else. You've done the screed board to get the general level of it, and this just kind of helps initially get those rocks down and the cream more to the top. That's really what you're doing most of the time. Anytime you have rocks sticking up through the surface and it's starting to dry and you start troweling it, you start wiggling them back and forth, they kind of kick out and you end up with holes in the concrete. Pretty much every step from here on out is making sure that the cream is on top until it starts to cure, and then you just keep working it smoother and smoother. You guys will be here a little bit late. We'll see though. All right, that's cool. Right, yeah, sure. Really? Dang. That's scary. I think I'd hit it again, yeah. Yep, I think I'd go at it again. It'll make it easier for you later. Get some more push down in there. I like that flow. That seems to be doing a nice job.
You can actually get these in 8-footers, 9 or 10 footers, but I was like, well, I'll just get a 6.
Well, sure.
My buddy had a 4 or a 5.
6 is nice and versatile.
That's what I thought. All back and forth, that pickup truck.
Unless you're planning to, you know, make big 4s or something, in which case you'll just slot more.
That's what I thought. It's another one.
That's right. You'll never regret having a 6 foot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is sweet. What's that?
That's what I feel what I miss out on when I don't do concrete. That's why I like to do concrete.
Oh, concrete's fun. Satisfying.
Nope.
And frustrating if it's not going, man. Oh yeah. Then it get frustrating, but most of the time it's not frustrating.
You gotta look at everything at the end of the day.
For sure. Yep, he don't waste no time.
Right there?
I got wooden stakes made for right there.
We got wooden stakes too.
Meanwhile, everything's different on the farm because you didn't want a bunch of ducks in the concrete, or worse, maybe getting smooshed by all the different equipment that's around here. Az unfortunately had to be tied up. He was not happy about it. I felt kind of bad tying him up because I do that sometimes when he's not been really great and he needs to be disciplined. But today he was being good. In case you don't know what I'm doing, I'm basically vibrating the concrete forms. A lot of times people will take a hammer and tap on them and it just helps remove the bubbles in the sides, but I've found that a Sawzall without a blade in it does a really good job. It's a little bit faster. Should work all the air bubbles out of it, at least a bunch of them. If you're still watching and not completely bored of a concrete pour, here's a time lapse to just show how much fun it is. I wish it would actually go in this speed, but I really just wanted an excuse to set up yet another phone just on a time lapse while I hold one for long format and another one for short format videos. It's really how I get so much footage, is I just have a ridiculous amount of phones and they're everywhere. There was also a phone on YouTube Live the whole time. And while we're doing a time lapse, let's just go ahead and do the second time lapse video, which pretty much takes us close to the end, or at least until the battery died, but there really wasn't anything too interesting to see after this point, other than us just waiting for concrete to finally finish at the very end of it all. This is where stuff started to get ahead of us. Before we even got the fourth truck, the first 3 truckloads were kind of all starting to set up at about the same time. It was kind of annoying that the first truckload didn't set up first and then the second, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. With all of us being fairly inexperienced with concrete, we probably should have been on there with the power machine immediately. We were on there shortly after I took these clips. If you look, it doesn't really seem too bad at all. I'm mixing the cream up pretty easily. It's just time. It's just simply time. That's all there is to it. And in some ways, if we had had 2 of the power trowel machines here, I think it would have been perfect. However, we only had one, and most people for a pad this size, they only do one. In hindsight, being on it 15 minutes earlier, plus some more water hose action, might have done it. That's going to be great though. Once everything was poured and the power machine was running, this guy wanted to know where to go with the extra concrete, and he watches my YouTube channel, so hi, I guess you made it in the clips. Anyway, I am definitely finding a spot in a pinch to quickly get some concrete. That would be in front of the outhouse. When you pay this much for concrete, well, you want to use every bit you got. At this point, we were spraying a bit of water on the surface, not too much, because you can get carried away with the water and then your surface will actually crack and flake off on you later, and that's no fun. This is where having a second power troweling machine probably would have saved the day. We just didn't have it, and I would imagine the professionals that do this every day just wouldn't have needed it because they would have found a way to be on top of it faster or whatever. You guys will let us know in the comments. Either way, we're all learning stuff. I knew they weren't a professional crew. We kind of have a deal worked out. I should say they are a professional crew, they're just not a professional concrete crew. They build buildings. They just have a hard time finding someone to do the concrete, so they kind of want to get into it a little bit. Minion seems pretty proud of his concrete pad. I was trying to show him how all the concrete stuff was because he had been inside most of the day and he just wanted to chill right next to it. Later on, he's going to walk through it and make all kinds of tracks, and then Az is going to walk through it, and Jen and I are going to put our handprints in it, and it's going to look super cool, or at least I think so. Back here on the main pad, you can see the issues we're dealing with. This is a float line, essentially, where the concrete float was run across, and it just didn't get troweled in time, and well, there's not really much to say about that other than a bunch of it just started curing all at once. There was also an issue with the boots starting to pull up the concrete surface and making an issue, so they opted to go barefoot. Going barefoot or having your skin touch any kind of concrete's pretty bad because it will soak into your skin and just cause it to, I don't know, etch away. Basically like a chemical burn. I've experienced that a bunch of times. It happened to me one time when I cut up an old concrete pad with a wet saw and had those shavings or dust mixed with the water and get on my pants, and I didn't think anything of it, but apparently it was still very active even though it was a 20-year-old concrete pad, and I got concrete burns on my legs. That was not fun. Garage floor is getting a smooth finish, whereas the pad in front of the outhouse is getting a broom finish. You pretty much want to do a broom finish almost anywhere outside because it gives it a little bit of texture, and they call it a broom finish because you simply take a broom and run it across. This causes it to just have a grippy texture, and it's not so slippery. If you do a smooth finish outside, it's very likely that it would be slippery just when it's wet, and this way you can put a sealer on here and it'll make it kind of slick, but the nubs will work into your soles of your shoe, and yeah, it won't be slippery. But anyway, let's skip past this and get to the good part. Here. Here. Sit. Good boy. I don't know. I think he's too smart for all this. Minion. Come. Come. Yes, come. Here. Is that how we're doing it? Come. Good job, Minion. Oh, that was so good. Did it.
It's not a full bath.
It's just a feet, Minion. It's just a feet, Minion. It's not that bad. Good boy. Yeah, we'll get those paws cleaned up. We'll get those paws cleaned up for Minion. Good boy.
His claws. That's what you got, was his claws.
Yeah,
That's funny.
That wasn't much of a footprint.
Just the claws. It's kind of there. You can see it more in the camera than you can in live.
Yeah.
Try to get him to walk across here.
Good boy. Come.
Oh, there you go. That did it.
Good boy.
All right.
Whoa.
There we got some footprints. He turned and dug right in.
Yeah, he dug those in good.
That's okay. So funny. The Minion's little prince.
Here.
Are we doing each like this, or should we do the same hand?
It doesn't matter. Smack it in or push it in. There you go. That'll leave a print. Aslan? Good boy, Az.
Kinda did.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Couldn't catch her. Got Az hooked up on the chain again. I don't like to tie him up, but there's just certain situations where it just makes sense. And unfortunately, rain. Couple sprinkles isn't bad, but if the sky really lets loose, it'll make this part really not want to finish at all. It's already going slow enough, and if you just saturate this for hours, that would be a problem. Although, I'm starting to think that part is already cured enough that a lot of rain actually wouldn't hurt anything as long as it's not like underwater. I wouldn't say we got a lot of rain, but we got enough of it. It definitely started coming down pretty good. You can actually see all the little imperfections in the concrete now. It's not perfectly flat. There's a couple dips. I think probably if this was a roller skating rink, those people would be very upset. But for me with a garage floor, I'm not worried about it. Sure, somewhere here. Emergency plastic hatch full of black widows. The rain really didn't last too long. Next thing you know, it's over and it's time to get back to work. Where the puddles show all the low spots. Very tiny low spots.
We're going again right away, but
Yeah, I don't know. This spot just refuses to finish. Refuses to dry, refuses to cure. It'll get there though. Maybe tomorrow, but it'll get there. The other thing we got to do is a little bit of cleanup. It's a whole lot easier to break up this extra concrete now that's holding the forms in, because once that's dried and cured, it's going to be very difficult to bust out of there. But right now it just takes a couple seconds, literally. Oh yeah. It certainly did take this a while to actually finish, but this was the final pass. It was getting dark and we're finally ready to take this thing off of here and call it good and come back tomorrow because there's sealing and cutting to do. Had a little bit of trouble locating a concrete saw, so ended up using my saw. I have a worm drive Makita. It's a battery powered saw. Definitely not the ideal saw, but they ran and grabbed a concrete blade and it really only lasted for this job. It pretty much got wore out. Strung some chalk lines across there, used a blower to blow all the dust away. They were a little bit concerned about cutting an inch deep and this many cuts on the pad and actually, you know, not running out of battery, but I have like 40 of these batteries and I told them I can charge batteries faster than you can use them up. So that's what happened. I was able to keep up. Chalk line really wasn't that easy to see. They were struggling with it. I suggested they take a straight 2x6, which ironically we had a very straight 2x6 here, and we were able to draw a pencil line across there and they could see what needed to be seen. They did a really good job making as straight of a line as possible with such a machine. Then it was time to put the sealant on. Some sealers are also a curing agent. I'm not really sure if this sealer was or not. I didn't ask. That's just the one that they preferred using and said it was really good. Every time I've seen anyone do concrete, they always put sealer on about 24 hours later, and I've read some things that say you should wait longer, and then I've read some things that say if it's a curing agent as well, you can put it on right away. Well guys, the pad is poured. I'm happy with it. Could it be better? Absolutely. Is it better? No, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it, guys. We got a cool arrangement worked out. I told you guys before, they're inexperienced at concrete. They got a great opportunity to practice. I think it's going to serve its purpose really well. And just for fun, I don't know if I showed a whole lot of this. I don't think I showed anything after the fact. You can see, particularly in the sunlight, makes it seem really, really bad, but it's still quite flat. There's just some rough areas where there were some troubles. And between one took like 4 hours, one cured 4 hours before the other one. And so there's kind of a bit of a texture line between. And the sweetest spot of all is like right here where it just took forever to finish and it just smooth as glass. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Stick with me after the outro, guys. I'll show you guys something pretty cool, and that'll wrap it up. Appreciate you watching, and I'm about to show you something pretty sweet. Bonus content.
With the beard and the vision, he narrates his life. Cutting firewood, draining beasts away from city strife. The ducks they roam freely, a quiet army true. Muscovies in the meadow, foraging in the dew. Lord Minion, small but grand, he's the kingdom's pride. Chasing out the odds with dying at my side. But when it's time to collect, it's not this thing is looking for. Chasing out the odds with dying at my side.
Bonus content. I promised you bonus content. Here we go. Twitch knows all about it. They're watching it. But YouTube, check this out. My handprint, Jen's handprint, meaning when he went and Az went thump, 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 thump. And I took some concrete stain, colored it all in, messed up right there. It's like a little slidey spot, what it kind of looks like. But, and you know, just a minor blotch there. It's concrete stain, so you get it on there, it stains. But there it is, guys. Kind of looks oily. I may have to dab some out with a paper towel real carefully if it doesn't soak on in there. But that's it, guys. It really stands out. I think it looks cool. Thanks for watching.